Hi, good day. Today we will be discussing Module 3 and you are still enrolled in GE 111 Purposive Communication. The title and the focus of Module 3 will be about digital citizenry. Now, what are the agenda of this discussion and what will be the flow of our discussion? So first, let's have a quick activity entitled Put a Finger Down if and then ellipsis. So later on I will be expounding what will be the mechanics of that activity. Afterwards, we will be pondering upon certain ideas that are related to our online activity, being a citizen in the online world. Afterwards, we will be connecting the discussions with concepts such as social presence theory, hyper-personal relationships, and of course, the meat and focus of Module 3, which is Data Privacy Act of 2012. We will be discussing the highlights of your reading, which is the Data Privacy Act. And then, if you have clarifications and concerns, perhaps we will address that towards the end of the discussion. Okay, so let's push forward with the first agenda. So put a finger down if, okay, I'm sure you've heard of this activity already, or perhaps you have tried this activity. So moving on with the next slide, allow me to explain the directions of this activity. Even though this is just a recorded discussion, I hope you can still participate in this asynchronous activity. So here are the directions. First, everyone or you individually, you will be holding up 10 fingers. Afterwards, the teacher, which is me, will be flashing an experience. So pushing forward with the following slides, I will be reading that certain experience that is related with your online habits or online activities. And if you have done it, you have to put a finger down. In certain games, they have to drink up a certain shot of alcohol, but of course, we have to be wholesome and academic. That's why you will be simply putting a finger down. Okay, so I hope you are ready with our activity and let us begin. Put a finger down if you have posted something while drunk with alcohol or drunk with your emotions. So put a finger down if you've done that. If not, just remain 10 fingers. Let's go next. Put a finger down if you do not have any social media account at all. Put a finger down if yes and no if not. Next, put a finger down if you have stalked someone online. Moving forward with our activity, put a finger down if you have ordered something from online stores and merchants. Next, put a finger down if you wake up in the morning and check your phone immediately. So it's the first thing that you do when you wake up in the morning or when you wake up after your sleep, depending on your sleeping habits. Next, put a finger down if you have engaged in an online debate with a friend or a stranger. So it has to be in a public platform, not just personal messages. Okay? Let's now go with the next one. Moving forward, put a finger down if you have danced in any TikTok craze. No judgment here. Next one. Put a finger down if you are a member of Facebook group entitled Home Buddies and even the Hampas Lupa version of it. Some of you might be yes, some of you might be not, depending on your inclination. So let's now go with somewhere closer. Next one, put a finger down if you have posted or commented on any post in one FEU community Facebook group. Moving forward, I hope you are still with me and I hope you are keeping tabs with how many fingers are still up on your hands. Let's now go with the next one. Put a finger down if you have shared an article without reading it entirely. Perhaps you have forgotten about it or perhaps you weren't able to finish reading it, something like that. Okay? So let's go now next. Put a finger down if you have scene zoned someone in any messaging application. I know you're familiar with what scene zone is. Let's go next. Put a finger down if you are supposed to do an academic work like studying, reviewing, writing a paper, doing a task. Instead, you went on your social media application to procrastinate. Moving forward, put a finger down if you have rant about a teacher or a professor online, regardless if it's in college or high school or elementary, if you were able to do that. Okay, let's go next. Put a finger down if you constantly check how many people have viewed your story and reacted to your post. Up next, we're down to the last three. So if you have negative scores already, it's okay. Negative 1, 2, up to 5. Let's go now. Put a finger down if you have thought of becoming a YouTube content creator. Why not, right? It's a form of self-expression and of course, a monetary means of for you to gain, monetary means of gaining money, okay? Next one. Put a finger down if you have used and tried any dating application. It's up to you. Just be honest with yourself. We are not checking your answer. Last one. I hope you are still with this activity and with me. Put a finger down if you have hidden any post from your parents or significant other. No judgment here. All right. After with the first agenda, let's try to see how many scores you have got. Some of you might still hold on to a positive score, a 0, and even a negative score of negative 1 to 5. It depends. But basically, we are assuming that we have different online habits. Hence, it will result to different scores with this activity. Now, let's push forward in discussing what are these differences when it comes to our online habits and activities as an online member of the community. Now, let's ponder upon the ideas with the following 3 slides that I will be sharing with you. So, the first set of questions will be about the content of online posts and activities. Second set of questions will be about online addiction and your control. And last set of questions will be about data privacy management. Okay, let's begin with the first set. The questions has something to do with the content of your online posts and of course your activities. So allow me to read. What are the cringe-worthy things you have posted and done on social media? And of course, what were your reasons in posting such? You may pause this video or you may pause this recording for you to think about and ponder upon these ideas. After you have thought of the answer in your mind, you can continue playing it back again. In my case, during the dawn of the Facebook era and Friendster, I'm into posting selfies. Not that I'm saying selfies are not a right or good thing, but to a point that sometimes it became quite excessive. And upon seeing those posts, I sometimes cringe in seeing a lot of selfies. And of course, perhaps my reason at that time, it has something to do with, joining the bandwagon or the trend when it comes to the online platform. So let us continue with the last part of the set. In your perspective, what are the things that an individual may post and should not share in social media platforms? So again, you can pause this recording and think about your thoughts in terms of this question. In answering the last part of this first set or the orange set of question, allow me to remind you that there's no right nor wrong answers in answering these questions. We have different perspectives when it comes to what are the things that we should and should not share in online media. Sometimes, some people may say that it's already too much information or they can consider it as bragging and so on. But for others, it's just a simple form of expression. So then again, allow me to highlight that we have different perspectives. The very idea of us discussing this and pondering upon these thoughts is to bring a sense of awareness on what are the things that we are seeing in our online world. Okay, let's move forward with the second set, which is the Apple set. Now, Apple set focuses on online addiction and control. Allow me to read the first part of the set. How often and long do you stay online in your social media applications? So you may pause this recording and think about your online actions and your online activity. How long do you stay with your phone? How often do you stay with your phone? Next part. How would you define social media addiction? And how should we control our impulse at staying constantly online? You may pause and think about your answers. After pondering upon this question or this set of questions, perhaps we can discuss the idea on how we can do and how we can control our social media use, because the idea is we should be the one who is using these gadgets. We are the one who should use these social media platforms. However, there are cases wherein it goes the other way around. Social media applications, our phones are the ones who are using us. It sounds absurd, but it's really happening in real life. Hence, we have to take measures on how we should control, balance how we enjoy the technology that we have right now. Personally, my means of doing so is online detox. I'm not sure if you've heard of this already. With online detox, you try to stay away with online activities, even touching your phone for like a week, or if it's first time that you're going to do this or you're going to try this, you can do it for like 3 days or 2 days, and then let's see how long you will last. Well, it's really helpful, but given the idea that we are in a pandemic and then we are doing online classes, it's really hard to veer away with the technology and with online social media platforms, since we use them to communicate and do our academic tasks. So perhaps you can try this online. I mean, you can try this after the first semester. I've been telling myself that I wanted to do this after the first semester, so as to refresh and do a detox when it comes to the online exposure that we are currently in. So that's just one way of doing so, and perhaps you can also share this discussion with your friends, your family, and you can discuss how you can balance your discussion, or I mean balance your usage of online social media applications. There are a lot of means of controlling our online usage, our possibility of being addicted to social media. It doesn't just end with just a suggestion. You can, think of ways on how to do so. So let's now move forward with the last set of questions. So I hope you are still with me, and I hope you are taking our time to reflect with these sets of questions. Let's now go with the last set, which is the lemon set. So this focuses more on data privacy management. Allow me to read the first part. How do you manage your social media identity privacy? Pause this question. In addition, what are the points that an online netizen like you and like me should always take note in terms of online privacy? There are a lot of things to consider right now, especially with if you were able to view the videos as part of this module. There are cases wherein our data privacy are violated because certain entities, companies, people, share our personal information without our consent. Hence, it's vital for us to take note and take extra measures when it comes to protecting our privacy. In the world right now, in the online world where a lot of people, takes it as a bragging rights, or takes it as a compliment, wherein a lot of people view you and you become popular for certain image creation, monetary means. But in a world like that, let's try to put a sense of balance with popularity, quote unquote popularity and our privacy, because sometimes we take for granted things such as privacy, because online platforms such as various social media pave way into a different kind of thinking, wherein we think we are given this false sense of ego, wherein the number of likes, the number of comments, the number of reactions sometimes equates into a certain level of personal satisfaction or self-worth. However, if we are going to really put a real value when it comes to these comments, these likes, these metrics do not really value as a self-worth metric in measuring your, your happiness. Okay, I may sound like a preachy teacher right now, but I hope you're understanding the idea why we have to take extra measures in protecting our privacy. Speaking of such measures, I would suggest that you can do like two-way factor authentication in protecting your passwords, because there are a lot of scams that are happening online, identity theft, phishing for your information, even people knowing your birthday, people knowing how many members of family do you have, where do you live. Those things are vital information and can be a possible link to a possible disaster, which we do not want to happen at the end of the day. The measures that are discussed are some of the things that we can do to protect our online privacy, so that we don't fall as prey and victims to certain entities that take advantage of what we share online. Now, let's move forward with the following slides, and I will be discussing certain concepts that are related when it comes to online activity. Let's begin by discussing social presence theory. Social presence theory was forwarded by John Short, Ederin Williams, and Bruce Christie during 1976. And the people that I have mentioned are from the field of social psychology. Even though the concept is brought by the field of psychology, it is also used in the field of communication. Social presence forwards the idea that social presence, every people has this certain social presence, and it is the degree to which a person is perceived as a real person in a communication experience. So whether it's face to face or online, communicators are perceived as a real person, and there are cases wherein we do not see the person as an actual person. So what do we mean by real person? When you say a person is real, we feel that that person is present, that person is there for us, that person is real. That's the very idea of social presence. Now, social presence is connected with the idea of interpersonal emotional connection between communicators, and this may vary depending on the channel. I'm sorry for that noise. Depending on the channel, sometimes face-to-face communication, it brings about higher social presence. Why? Because in face-to-face communication, you can see the person. You can immediately hear the verbal feedback. You can immediately see the non-verbal feedback, such as gestures, facial expression, or the mere fact that the person did not respond immediately. There was silence, or the person walked out on you. That's considered feedback as well, and you can immediately see that. Hence, given those factors, we can definitely say that social presence in face-to-face communication is higher compared to the other channel, which is mediated communication or online communication. In online communication, according to social presence theory, the emotional connection is perceived lower compared to face-to-face communication. Why? There are cases wherein, non-verbal messages are not relayed authentically, or verbal messages are absent. Take for example what is happening right now. You cannot see me. This is just my audio recording. And it's very much different when you see me, your teacher, in our synchronous session. I open my camera, you can see me. But in this case, you cannot see my gestures, you cannot see my facial expression. And of course, those absence of nonverbal affects the emotional connection of the communicator to the receiver of the message, which is, in this case, you, my students. And of course, if we lessen the verbal and non-verbal cues, for example, I'm not recording my audio, you cannot see me, I'm just simply typing or I'm just simply sending my PowerPoint, the emotional connection will be lower. Hence, social presence will be lower as well. So I hope you are following the idea when it comes to social presence theory. In addition, the third bullet, when it comes to social presence theory, we have this what we call as two elements of social presence, which are intimacy and immediacy. Allow me to discuss the idea of immediacy. Immediacy is the fact wherein you can instantly receive feedback. As we have discussed in face-to-face communication, it's really easier because you can, easily see, hear the feedback, whether it's a verbal or a non-verbal feedback. While in online communication, feedback is not guaranteed to be immediate at all times. Hence, we have the synchronous and asynchronous discussions. And most of the time, asynchronously, feedback can take up to certain time or at certain days, depending on the fellow communicator. In that sense, social presence can be higher or lower. And of course, it affects the intimacy in the creation and maintenance of relationship between the communicators. The idea here is the higher the social presence, we perceive that intimacy and immediacy is higher. And then the lower the intimacy, the lower the social presence. All right? So, in a nutshell, most of the time, face-to-face brings about higher social presence, while online communication or mediated communication, it brings about lower social presence. So that's social presence theory in a nutshell. Moving forward, with the next slide, I will be providing an alternative view compared to social presence theory. So do not be confused bakit magkaiba sila. Remember, theories take up different perspectives. So I'm just simply presenting to you different perspectives when it comes to online communication and and relationship management when it comes to online platforms. So let's now begin discussing hyper-personal relationships. Okay, so first bullet says here, hyper-personal relationships. The idea here is that internet relationships develop intimacy more quickly. So with this first bullet rather, you can say that it's very much different with the claim of social presence theory. Diba ma'am, you said in social presence, intimacy is lower and because social presence is lower in online channels. But in this case, hyper-personal relationship says different. Okay, the idea why internet relationships develop faster in terms of intimacy and emotional connection has something to do with the second bullet. The idea here is that rather we tend to give written words greater meaning. What do we mean by this? With online communication, we receive certain written messages or like symbols like emoticons and emojis. And in online communication, once we receive those online messages, we as the readers, the receivers, we interpret what is the meaning of the message for us. Remember, there is no tone. You did not hear how did the person say it. Hence, we are the one who is putting tone with that. But of course, online platforms and online messaging has developed, and it created certain means on how you can forward tone. However, we cannot put it as black and white means. Hence, there is still gray area wherein we are open when it comes to interpreting the online messages. Given that fact, we are the ones who is putting idea and meaning with the messages that we are reading. For example, someone says hi to you, okay? It depends on how you will interpret that. Or for example, someone has viewed your story, has reacted a heart reaction in your post. We are the one who is putting meaning with that. We have certain assumptions with the messages that we receive based on our context, based on our cultural upbringing. So we are still connecting module 1 and module 2 here. Different people come from different contexts and different cultural background. Hence, online messages can be interpreted differently. Now, for example, we are the ones who has given interpretation with the online messages that we have received. In certain cases, okay, when we perceive it and we put certain bias towards positivity, hence the idea is that we tend to disclose more rapidly because we are assuming the positive side most of the time. I'm not saying it's a general, it's a 100% thing, but most of the time, communicators or human by nature tend to look at something nice and gives a better how do I put it, gives a certain bias towards the messages that we receive, okay, towards the positive end. In that sense, we feel that okay, this person is interested in me, this person views my story, perhaps this person likes me, this person cares for me. Given those ideas, we tend to disclose more rapidly. There is this metaphor wherein ideally a person is perceived as an onion. When you peel an onion, you peel a person, you peel the onion by layer. And ideally, in an ideal communication setup, you peel an onion or you peel a person. Okay, do not take me literally. You peel a person when it comes to knowing that person on a certain gradual level. So you look at the basic information first, the social information, and then you go with more personal. And of course, over time, you will be able to understand the core information or the core ideas of this person. However, okay, that's the ideal setup. However, given the online platform, given the different environment that internet and social media offers us, there is a tendency for us to skip this gradual process of peeling the onion or peeling the person. Sometimes we take shortcuts, and there are cases wherein the very secret and core of a person, a problem of a person, but you do not know the real name of the person. Okay, so I hope you're getting my point here. And this is what hyper-personal relationships hyper-personal relationship theory forwards, that there is a possibility for us to be more emotionally connected, to be more intimate when it comes to online relationships as compared to face-to-face. And it's very much different when it comes to the perspective of what social presence theory is forwarding. Given the point raised by hyper-personal relationship, wherein we tend to disclose more rapidly because people feel more comfortable when we are online, right? Our gadgets, the computer that you are holding, or the cell phone that you are holding right now, the computer that you are in front of right now, or any other gadget that you are with right now, it serves as a safety blanket for us people whenever we engage in online discourse, whenever we express ourselves online. And there's this idea that we are behind the screen, we are behind our keyboards. Hence, we feel that we are we are safe, and there is this sense of anonymity. That's why it's easier for us to share information. It's easier for us to express our ideas online rather than face to face. And given this thought, we will be segueing, okay? We will be moving with the next idea, which is Data Privacy Act of 2012. Sorry for that dog noise. Okay, moving forward with my last slide, some of my last slides. Data Privacy Act of 2012. This is the main meat of Module 3. If you were able to view the module already, the reading comprises 15 pages. I know it's a lengthy reading. Okay, allow me to share, allow me to provide context. The original file, the original document of Data Privacy Act of 2012 is around 45 pages, if I'm not mistaken. And then I tried to trim it as much as possible, but I hope I wasn't sacrificing the quality of information that I hope you will be able to read and learn. So here are the highlights of the reading. So first, we have the rights of the data subject. You and I are considered as data subjects. Everyone who is a member of online platform or a real person in face to face, we are considered as data subjects, and we have information and data that we can share, we can contribute, and of course keep in private if we want to, and that is part of our rights. We have the right to information, to know how our data will be used. We have the right to object. We have the right to withdraw. We have the right to blockage. And those are the rights that are discussed in the reading. Next, given the rights that we have, there are certain limitations when it comes to our rights as a data subject. There are certain scenarios wherein we are exempted from this right, or our rights are limited. Hence, there are exemptions, such as possibilities for research, okay? And it was explained further in the reading. And then, third bullet, if we breach one's data privacy, there are certain manifestations on how are we violating the data privacy of another person. For example, I have shared like the personal online exchange of messages between me and my friend. So I have publicized it without his or her consent. That's already considered as violation of my friend's data privacy act. Same goes with, for example, teachers sharing the photos of their students without the consent of their students. Okay, and I think a lot of people are unaware that we are violating the data privacy rights of other people. Okay, and it's very ironic that this law was passed 2012, and imagine like 8 9 years, not everyone, not I mean general public are not really that familiar when it comes to Data Privacy Act of 2012. And I feel it's our responsibility to bring about certain awareness for ourselves as a communicator on what are the ethical processes, what are the ethical standards that we have to abide by as a professional communicator. And of course, if you have, allow me to go back to the slide. If you have violated data privacy of another person, or for example, a company violated the data privacy of its clients, sometimes it happens in banks, sometimes they share like information of their clients, or like in telephone companies, they share the numbers of their clients for marketing purposes. It happens sometimes, okay? There are corresponding sanctions such as imprisonment and fine. So you have to know how much you have to prepare when you violated, I hope you will not, when you violated data privacy of other people, and how long will you be staying in jail just in case you have breached one's data privacy. Okay, so I hope you take this challenge in reading the material. It's not our usual light reading material. It's more of very objective, and it's loaded with information. So take this as challenge, and this is the longest reading that we have for the entire course. Okay. With this, we end our discussions. And if you have any clarifications, any concerns, you know what are the means on how you can contact me. You have MS Teams, we have Canvas, and email. And of course, we have certain function for such applications kung saan nyo ako i-message. And then, for your formative assessment for Module 3, you will be having or you will be taking a Canvas quiz. The Canvas quiz will be a total of 10 items. However, each item will be corresponding 2 points. Hence, it will be a total of 20 points. What will be your preparations for the Canvas quiz for the FA4? A huge chunk will be coming from the reading Data Privacy Act of 2012. Not everything is objective. There are questions that are more on application of the concepts. I'm not really a fan of memorization, but you have to understand the information that you have read. And of course, certain parts of our discussion in this recorded discussion will aid you in understanding what will be the content of the reading. And of course, certain parts of the quiz are already mentioned in our discussion. So I hope you were able to get something, learn from our discussion. This module does not simply end in getting a perfect score with your formative assessment. The very goal of this module is for us to become a better digital citizen at the end of the day. It's not easy, but I hope we will take this as a challenge, and we are a work in progress when it comes to this one. And at least, as a person who is part of the academic circle, we should consider ourselves blessed with these trying times. And I feel that it's an inherent responsibility for us to share this knowledge, and do not just simply retain in this academic circle. This kind of discussion should not be just within us as students and teachers in FEU. We have this responsibility, civic responsibility, to bring about awareness to other people as well. If you have seen something that, if for example, it's already a breach of data privacy, if you feel that it's wrong, it's up to you on how you can bring about awareness to other people as well. And I'm challenging you to do that. Okay, so you might say, ang hirap naman ma'am, mag-quiz na nga, mag-reading, tapos meron pang civic responsibility. That's the idea, okay? So you're not just a student with this course, but we are students of life, okay? So with this, I will end our discussion. I hope you are fine, stay safe, and I'll see you in our future sessions.